You need facts, figures, scores, and scoops, and the truth. Only Sport Africa.
Excited to introduce my guest to you today on another edition of Real, Raw and Relatable with me, Romy Titus. I have in the hot seat tough tackling defender, and that is the legendary Morgan Gould. It is so good to have you in the hot seat, and I think it's my very first time where I get to sit with you and literally unpack your entire career, which spans over 20 years.
Yeah, good morning, Romy. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to sit down and have a chat with you. Yeah.
Where do you want to start? In the midst of your playing career, at the beginning, at the end, where you now consider yourself a what? A legend?
Leg end.
A leg end, and then there's legend. Okay, please define for me.
So a legend is obviously someone that has achieved remarkable stuff through their career, which I fell a little bit short of it in my books. But a leg end is a person that gives his legs, obviously. and I gave it my legs. I played over 2 decades and a bit. Yeah, so for me, the leg end, and I had to end it because, the legs can't take it.
The legs ended, literally.
Yes, definitely.
Was it tough retiring and giving up something that's in your DNA, that you live, eat, breathe, think about, dream about?
Sleepless nights, yes, definitely. I had a lot of sleepless nights. You're not really aware of what impact it has in your life and on your life, because you have spent 20 odd years where your time is literally ran by something else, or your schedule is very basic. You go to training, you come back, you do what you need to do, you go to training again, So your life was literally ran by someone else, or should I say institution, and now you have all this time in your hands. And, as footballers, we don't really plan. We might say we plan, but we don't really plan because you don't have the time, because either you're mentally tired or you're physically tired, and all the other things that you want to do or you want to venture into needs your time and energy. So, yeah, it was really, really tough.
Are you routine-oriented? So what is it? This is my whole life, right? Bag, pack, go, play, treatment, play, regen, play, train, come back, press conferences, travel, pack a bag, come back, and then you leave that. Is it chaotic? Not tapping into that. This is my life. This is what my life has been for over 20 years. Because you say players, plan, for retirement, but they don't really. Do you think from a monetary perspective that more emphasis gets placed on that versus mentally, that you're going to leave the institution, as you put it?
It's a balance. You need to balance it out, because I think if I had the time and if I had mentors around me to say, your time is coming, and break down your time. And even if you're a bit fatigued when you go into some stuff, but you're doing the little steps that will lead you to, when you do hang up your boots, you can, fulfill your dreams, or your dreams after football, because all we dream about is football. And obviously football puts you in places where you meet a lot of people, and you meet people that could actually potentially help you in your future and your goals and dreams after football. So, yeah, routine is hectic, because as you were saying, train, get back, recover, train again. Then you also have to filter in the fact that there's family. And that's also a big factor. And I think for most of my life, I didn't really be in my kids' lives, not because I didn't want to. It's because obviously I was playing football. And now that I have the time, I really see the little things like picking up my boy at school, and how we have a conversation about how his day was. And, and I can advise him on things so those are the moments for me that I really missed out on. And now I've got the opportunity to do it, but it's really hard, because you need to balance out. You need to, whatever mortgages you have, and you need to balance it out and see where you have to also cut time with your family and go and seek for business somewhere. Yeah.
I guess it's the same, right? Maybe to a lesser degree, where there's a time for family now, maybe more so, but there's also a time for I am the breadwinner, and I've got to make post my playing career work for me too. Please introduce me to your boys. Who are they? What are they like? Do they play football? Do they drive you mad? What are their ages?
Yeah. Well, I've got 3 boys, so their names make a sentence. So Tando, No, Olwetu is the firstborn, Utando, and Luyanda. So that means our love grows.
Oh, beautiful.
I was fortunate enough to be part of their creation, where obviously my wife afforded me an opportunity. And I think credit must go to her, because she really kept me honest and kept me going in the game, because I don't think I would have achieved this without her. And I don't really give her the credit that she needs to get. And it's just going back to the boys, they're a bunch. So the firstborn, Olwetu, he's turning 18 this year.
18?
Yeah.
As in 1-8?
Yeah.
OMG.
Yes, OMG.
MG.
Yes. He's turning 18. They're very quiet, respectful. All my boys are very respectful. I think credit must go to my grandma, my mom, and obviously my wife, because they're the ones that installed. They spend a lot of time with them, teaching them how to be humble, be respectful, and
the woman power, I guess, with you being away from the home mostly.
Yeah, look, I didn't grow up with my father, and my mom played a mom and dad role. My grandmother played a grandmother role. So a lot of ladies led me to be the person that I am today. And
go power, man. Woman power.
It's woman power. Yeah, although they stress me out a lot. But, it is what it is. It's made me the person that I am. Try and push as much as I can. And when it comes to ladies, you guys know how to go into the finer details and make sure that the household is kept, all the nitty-gritties, because as a gent, you overlook a lot of things. Now I'm packing their lunches, I'm doing this, and I might forget, he doesn't have juice, he doesn't have this. All along, it's just okay, you guys do this and I'll do that. So now it's finer details. My second born, Utando, I wouldn't say he's a baller, but
he's a middle child. I'm a middle child. I love middle children.
You guys are overachievers, actually, in a lot that you do. He's very... So my firstborn, I tried too much with him. And when I say I tried too much with him, I tried...
Like overcompensate?
Yes, I did a lot because I was never a father before then. And when I got the opportunity with him, it was my firstborn. I tried to do everything right and try and sort of like force him to do things. But I also thought, you know what, let me relax. And with the secondborn, I knew what to do. I had a little bit of experience.
Yeah.
He then overtook what I wanted from the firstborn, to be the leader of the family when I'm not around.
Is that Tando?
Tando, he's pedantic. He's 14, but he goes for a haircut every week.
I love it.
He literally makes up his bed the moment he wakes up. He goes gyms before he goes to school, takes a shower, walks to school, gets back. He does, because he's in football, he goes to his transport, or they pick him up, goes to training, come back, does his homework. So that's what I wanted from the firstborn. But then the secondborn, obviously, Tando, and then Luyanda as a replica of Olwetu, which is the older one.
Yeah.
They're the same thing. They a crazy bunch. They go-getters, very humble, tantrum throwers, where they literally just walk out on you when you're talking to them. And I understand why.
So it's 18, 14, and?
8.
Okay.
So it's
It's a lot. It's crazy in the Gould household.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
You said overcompensate for the first son, right? Was it also the fact that you didn't grow up with your father, that you wanted to, for your kids, show up in a way where you maybe felt you needed to be shown up for?
Look, I didn't know what to do, to be honest. I felt that the kid is around. I need to be a figure in their life. I need to be a figure in their life, whether it's a father figure, whether it's just being that person to so they can have comfort, and I'm responsible for them. And I needed to do what I needed to do at the time. And I've also sat down with him and I said to him, boy, listen, I've been hard on you. I see you as a leader. And he's also said to me, but Dad, you compare me to, So I was like, yes, I made mistakes, but now that I know I've made mistakes. I'm not going to be as harsh, but reality is if I leave this world, you need to be responsible enough to take over and assist where you can assist.
Yeah, yeah. Football. When did the bug bite you? When, where, how? And Cosmos was your first team, right?
Yeah. Cosmos was my first team. Football has always been part of a kid from the township, it's everything and anything that you do. The moment you step out your gate, there's always kids playing around, and you have it's like a safety net, like some sort of a safe hub, because the townships are rife with a lot of things, And there's so many ills.
Keep it away? What did it keep you away from?
Oh, it kept me away from a lot of things. Gangsterism. It kept me away from just being that unwanted kid that's doing the wrong things, wrong crowd. It kept me away from a lot of stuff. And I think my grandmother was actually a pivotal person in my life, where my mom was always working, and she was a staunch believer you need to go to church on Sundays. I used to skip church and just go and play soccer and come back, and
so you were at church.
No, she'd be in church and she'd know that.
She'd see.
Yeah, and I'd get a beating, and those type of moments in my life, you actually think back and say, actually, I messed up. However, I was affording myself an opportunity to pave my dream or pave my way in this world that we live in.
Wow. Where you're from, and obviously, like you're saying, in the township you play football. Everybody's playing football. But I mean, in your head, in your mind, did you think Morgan Gould will make it into one of the biggest teams in South Africa?
Not by a stretch of a mile. I think we just play football because it's something that happens in townships, and
it's
and
fun
it's a
to
sport.
do.
Yes, it's cricket and soccer was the most loved sports, because in the townships, and especially in Johannesburg, you don't really have rugby teams, and it's unlike the Eastern Capes, and where you have different sporting codes like the rugbies, the boxings. Soccer was a Soweto thing. Soccer was most of the townships that you have in and around Johannesburg, Gauteng. It was more soccer related, unlike, as I said, the PEs, the Cape Towns, where there's different sporting codes where you can venture into different stuff. But yeah, for me, I didn't actually have a dream of saying I'm going to be playing for the biggest teams in the country.
So how do you end up at Jomo Cosmos?
Look, it was because of a friend of mine, which Narada Nathanson. He was actually a friend of mine at high school, and he was playing for Bedford View Country Club. Before then, I was just playing casual soccer at a team called Noordgesig Sundowns, and we were just messing around, and
Nothing sort of formal or structured. It's just like
we're
still playing.
We're still playing,
for fun.
For fun. And then I had the opportunity to go to Orlando Pirates Juniors, which that was an epic fail because I didn't even get to play a single game. And then they changed not ownership, but they changed the way that they wanted to present themselves out there, because Pirates was a big team, and Orlando's like literally a stone throw away from where I was staying, and they obviously took over that, and then everything just went south, and I was like, this football thing is just a thing. Then I obviously did a bit of time at Wits Juniors, played there. My mom pulled me out saying, my marks are not going as according. She pulled me out, and then moved over, went to high school, JP Boys, met Narada, played with him a bit in the street, and then he was also actually affiliated to Bedford View Country Club, and he invited me over, and the rest I'd say is history. But then I met a guy, the coach, Sadler, the Sadler family. So the Sadler family was obviously in charge of our age group, and they'd buy us boots, and they saw it fit that I'm a good footballer. Then from there, Brian Walters, former Cosmos player, played in the team. He promoted me to the first team. I scored a bit of goals, played as a striker. Then he obviously spoke to Jom. He says, listen, Jom, I've got a jam here. Then when the friendly came, I ran away. I was like, I'm not doing this football thing.
Why?
My dad had said to me, when I eventually met my dad had said to me he doesn't want me to play football.
How old were you then?
I was 18. 17, 18.
Or where to's age?
Yeah. I ran away. I was like, I don't want to do this football thing. And then the friendly happened. I wasn't there. They organized a friendly with me without my knowledge. And then they happened to see me.
Oh, I love it.
And Jomo obviously was intrigued about how I could play, how young I was. I was very athletic. So he then inquired and said to them, please offer me this guy. And I don't know what the talks were. Declined. And then I decided, you know what, let me just do this thing. And then.
But your dad, I mean, dissuades you. Why? You know? Why does he also decide, nah, don't do this?
He was a former footballer, that's why. So he knew the ills of the football world and he knew what's going on.
But isn't it... Okay, there's that part. I mean, please, Lord forbid, my daughter follows journalism path. Please, no, you know?
You're the first role model. You should know that you're the first role model in her life. Whether you like it or not, she breathes half of what you breathe.
Please, just not journalism, anything but it, you know?
No, I also said that, like, I don't want them into football. And obviously my dad said the same thing. But
and I guess we know why, because we're parents now, right?
Yeah.
So you understand that. But on the flip side, surely the worlds have changed from your dad to present day football, if you take a look at it, where maybe it wasn't as lucrative or as much cash or money involved versus when you were, and that you could make a sustainable career out of this.
yeah, look, you look at it, football could only be 15% of what you're going to live out, you know, and the rest you can pave your way through football connects or people that you meet in football. It's just how you present yourself and how you preserve what you put forth to the people, because people only gravitate to people that look like they have a game plan, although you might not have a game plan, but you just need to fit a certain profile, not in the media a lot, not in bad publicity, not mixed with the wrong crowd. Those are the type of things that set you up. And
Was your dad a popular footballer?
not a popular footballer, but just he was part of football. He played for Cosmos, also played for Chiefs also. So he then also made a life for himself, and he opened a couple of establishments where he could obviously look after all his many kids. And I mean,
Are you the
kids.
eldest?
No.
Okay, so what number are you? Have you met everyone?
The majority of them were like, I think we're like 25. Or
You're
26.
kidding me.
Yeah. I'm somewhere in the mix there.
Do you carry his surname, if I may ask?
No, I don't.
So
I
you
don't.
carry your
I
mom?
like,
Yeah,
my
okay.
mom's surname, which I think the pressure also was less on me
you.
because I didn't carry his surname. But now the pressure's on my son because now he
Carries the Gould surname.
So I had a chat with him. I said to him, listen, you've got so much pressure, but pressure is a privilege. And if you think you're privileged enough, take the pressure.
So you end up at Cosmos now, based on this friendly, which they planned without your knowledge, which I really love. So God bless those people. Because where would you have been had they not scouted you? Or you might have gotten the break, you might not have, you know? So you end up at Cosmos, and you're also going through the car wash along with Terminator?
Yeah, the Termi. Listen, I learned a lot from him because I found him there as obviously a senior in the team and well-respected. And he gravitated towards me because I wasn't out and about young.
You're similar in personalities, actually.
Okay.
Outspoken when you feel safe to do so,
Yeah.
but head down and get the job done.
Yeah, I think the traits I actually took from him a lot because he was as small as he is very huge when it comes into the football space, because he then introduces me to a world of, I'll say it, fashion, lifestyle, all the good things that can come along with football. And he paved like a way for me to say, listen, these are the do's and the don'ts. Indirectly, he didn't say it but he gave me like a heads up to say, okay, this is a crowd you hang around. This is not a crowd that you don't hang around. And you change, and you also find yourself within the crowd. And I tried it and like stepped back. I was like, yeah, no, actually. Termi had a solid plan for himself, and the solid plan has worked, and He's, as you know, is fit as a fiddle. And those are the routes I took and the stuff that I learned from him. So big shout out to him and his family, because he introduced me to his whole family, his mom and everybody. And we get along like a house on fire.
Oh, nice, man. That's really good to know. What was life like at Jomo Cosmos? I mean, Brajomo is obviously the person touted for being able to find, that uncut diamond, find the next big star. Did you enjoy yourself? Did it click? This is what you want to do. Was it accepted at home that, all right, we've got a football star in our hands?
Look, you can't say a football star, but I think football...
Why not? I think
it's relative, man.
But I think you downplay what it is you've contributed, right? It might not have been in your head the star that you see, but as I sit in front of you, I see the star, And so the discredit for me is a little sad, whereas maybe you don't feel like the star. Yeah. But if I read, and I mean, yesterday I did so much research and I went down a rabbit hole, and I'm just like, do you know what you've done? And do you know what you've done for your community and the people who look up to you, and the eyes that you've opened, and that it's okay to say that you are a legend, not the leg end and the star?
Yeah, look, I didn't do it because I wanted to be a star. I did it because there was a little kid inside of me wanting to just play football, man. And Dr. Jomo Sono gave me opportunity to then take the little ability that I have and make a little bit of coins so I can...
How much coins were you cashing in?
Not much. It's not much, but gave me...
Not much. I mean, does it not compare to the 8.4 million rand when you went to Kaizer Chiefs?
No way close.
No way close. Okay. But I mean, back then, I'm sure it was a lot of money. Timmy said when he started, it was like $700, and he was in high school.
Yeah, it was around those figures. I think credit must go to Mr. Sono, or Dr. Sono these days. He's a pioneer. He's a pioneer in a way where he can teach you how to make the best of the little that you have. And at high school, obviously, you're getting a stipend, and it's a bit of transport money, it's a bit of toiletries here and there. But it then becomes difficult when you are now needing to travel a little bit further, and they're not filtering into how you're getting there. Yes, there was a bus, but the bus would leave a certain time, and you're still at school. And by the time you get to where the bus is left, and that's CBD, and you need to either make your way towards southern suburbs where it's closer to the Glen. So if you know the distance from CBD in town to the Glen, it's a bit of a distance, but you can obviously catch public transport, and that's what we did a lot. And already you're navigating through life, and you're going through how you get around to how you do it. Your time is limited. You're not really playing with your friends. Now you need to go to training, and that teaches you how to manage your time also. So I think my hat must go off to him. He taught us a lot. He taught us how to save a lot, although you can't really save much because you needed each and every penny to get where you need to go to. And, back then, when people say you are playing football, they'd look at the numbers and they'd say, but you guys are earning this much.
And you spent your longest time, 2001 to 2008?
Yeah.
At Cosmos. So, I mean, out of all the other teams that you've gone to, that was really your foundation.
That was my university. I think if I look at it in that way, I graduated gradually, and I think I would have become a doctor if I had been in varsity, and I would have had a post year.
What was the plan if not football? Because football kind of found you. It came to fetch you basically. If it didn't, what was the other dream on the other end?
I was going to do numbers, something to do with numbers.
You're a numbers person?
Yeah, I'm a numbers person, but lately the numbers are not numbering.
The math is not mathing.
Yeah, exactly. So I liked numbers a lot, and numbers came obviously with, when I talk about numbers, the financial part of numbers, whether it being a financial advisor, whether it being an accountant,
Did you listen to any financial advisors? Because I'm sure there were many that approached footballers over the years to say, save.
Yeah. Yes, I did, and I didn't. Because I'm just making a rough example. If you have 5 rand and someone tells you, save 30% of that number, and you need the 450 to get you to where you need to go to honor, obviously, your inclusion into a team, and you're left with 50 cents, and then you being a young kid and you being you also need to spend some on yourself, and just to, what I'd say back in the days, that just to say thank you to myself, because it's hard work, it's tough. I think the financial advisors, they need to get it right, where yes, you can advise, but you must know the bracket you're advising in, and what's the expenditure, and they probably just think about it holistically, that everybody's on a certain bracket. And my plea also is if they can put a standard rate where a footballer should, the least a footballer should earn, and they should come in there and say, listen, we know you earn this as a starter. Start at a certain point, save 30%, 20%, and as time goes along, you'll get the, takes 90 days to start a new habit.
Yeah.
And for you to keep the new habit. So I'm sure if they had a standard fee that they'd pay, I think we'd have less footballers that are really struggling, or less footballers that are really saying that we don't know what to do, we don't have the financial means. Because we don't have, sorry to cut you, we don't have a pension fund, you don't have all the other stuff that a normal human being, a 9-to-5er, that would have.
So you have to be really disciplined in order to form these yourself. You don't have a pension fund, but you can take an RA out for yourself. You don't have this, but you can do it for yourself, versus, let's say, someone who's permanently employed, so to speak.
Yeah.
But what would you tell your younger self? Something that you wish you knew then, that you know now?
Minimize on unnecessary spending. Stick to bare minimum. Try and, I'll make a prime example. I said to my son, the day you earn your first salary, I said to him, I don't care how much it is. Well, I'll know how much it is, because I'll have to, obviously.
Yeah, you'll handle it, yeah.
50% of that you can have. 30% of the 50 that you can't have will go to a savings. And then the 20 you can spend. Because this day and age, kids want cell phones. They want this. I said to him, listen, if you want a cell phone, I want you to teach you now. You're going to get your own cell phone, but you're going to pay for it. I want you to learn the responsibility now. The bit that I wanted to know back then, to say, if I can do this now, my life would be a little bit better as we speak.
Is it hard? I've spoken to a few retired footballers where I kind of feel no one ever thought that this is the space. And I really attribute it to, it's the lack of the game that has ruled your entire life, right? That I always, and please don't get me wrong, but I almost want to say, like, there's a bit of like a mental block or even a depression that you go through. Definitely.
Each and every person in football goes to a depression phase, and we take it lightly. We don't address it when it happens, or we don't even if it's happened and you passed the depression phase. Yeah. Go back and seek help. Go back and go to someone that you can confide into. Please don't confide into another footballer, because your news will just be good news for someone else, Confide into someone that knows nothing about the game, that has your best interest at heart, and try and unpack it. Because if I take you back, I went through a lot of stuff. Obviously, we'll talk about how the injuries and cost me.
And the uppercut.
Yeah, look, I'm a victim of a lot of.
We have a no punches pulled show. I'm just teasing you.
Look, all those things is developed by depression and frustration and not knowing how to deal with those type of things at the time you deal with them, and just doing a bit of self-searching, and doing a bit of psychology, self-psychology. When I say self-psychology, seek help, man. Go to a counselor, someone that knows nothing about the game, someone that knows nothing about what you're living.
Yeah.
Because most of the time we all go and seek sports psychologists, and they'll just tell you the parts that you want to hear, but a psychologist from, let's say, SNDF will tell you about something totally different, and it will relate, because you'll look at what you're doing and where they are and how they're breaking down, how the task that they give you. They say, oh, listen, if you feel frustrated, calm down, count to 5, think about the good things in your life. Yes, address the bad things. And when you want to do, because I'm a person, I don't address things when they happen. I wait and I wait and I wait, and then it,
Boom.
exactly, and then it explodes.
Who helped you build the bridge from that point of boom? Then it's another boom when you have to really face your fears and say no more football. And then you have to, it's a bridge. It's a bridge over to the safe side, to the other side. Who helped you build that bridge?
No one.
Wow.
Be honest. No one helped me. No one. You know how people say, no, we'll walk you through when you retire, because a lot of clubs, what they do is they tell you, you surplus to requirements. Then what? You're telling me bad news, and you're not saying, okay, we've got bad news for you, but let's look at it in a way. They think them offering you a job, as you saying, them saying, at least we helped you. That we don't want that. At least I gave you 20 years of my life, and that's the least you can do. And say to me, okay, we'll offer you this, thinking that
it's a lifeline. You have a job.
Yeah,
you're not jobless.
And the words, at least you have a job. That at least you miss the grass, you miss I don't know what they call it these days, the rub, or should I call it, what is it called these days?
What, the deep heat?
Yes, the deep heat, yeah.
Yeah, it is intoxicating, yeah.
That atmosphere in the dressing room, the words thrown at one another, the competitiveness, those type of things, you miss those, and then taking that away from you is like removing your legs, literally.
Leg end.
Leg end again.
Leg end. So how do you stand? I mean, for me, it's such a delicate space, that place where you feel alone. You're no longer high on deep heat. There's no banter. You're literally living for your next fix, because to play is an addiction and a high in itself. So when it's cold turkey now, I mean, just take me through your mind. I mean, was there a point? What happens there, Morgan? Like, what happens? Because now you really have to be honest with yourself. You have to be there for your family, but at this point, you're empty.
Yeah, it's a really hard spot to be in. However, if you have the right people in your corner, I think we take it for granted that when they say football comes to an end, it really comes to an end. It's like you're standing in front of a wall, and all along this wall was like 20, 30 meters away. And every time you get older, you're stepping closer and closer to this wall, and this brick wall is still standing there. But if you break it down and you make inroads to breaking this wall down slowly but surely from a distance and plugging yourself in the right ways, obviously these days, if you want business, you have to go and search for it. You have to go and look for clients. You need to be in and around the right areas, and that now is a life for footballers now. You need to go into the right spaces. But some of them go into, because business people and people that you want to work with will always say, no, come out, let's go for a dinner or whatever. And here you have to be at home, and, your routine is you want to be home and spend time with the family. That's family time. But here comes someone and says, hey, let's meet at Waterfall Corner or whatever. You now need to take that time and say, hey, listen, I need to go for a meeting.
Got to go hustle.
Fruitful or not.
Yeah.
Then you need to come back and be honest and say, hey, was it fruitful? Wasn't it? Sometimes you don't go to a meeting and the person is disappointed and they want nothing to do with you.
Correct, yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Do you think that today we blood footballers differently, but we're still not equipping footballers with the things that matter? It's all about playing the game, making the money, the proper transfers, the correct agent, the transfer fees, whatever. But it's the little nitty-gritties like mental health, depression, post-football, and money.
Yeah, we don't equip them with the right things. Football has changed. Football has become bigger and better. But that being bigger and better, the psychological part of it hasn't moved, hasn't changed. They haven't implemented any of the... Credit must go to teams like Stellenbosch, because where they have sports psychologist that comes in once a week as a group. If you do it as a group,
Nice.
it's much better. It's so much easier. It's not like you're a loony bin if you do it alone, because a lot of players, a lot of us know, and you say, hey, I'm going to see a psychologist. And next minute I'm saying, hey, Romy's not all right in the head. But they do it as a group. That's why you see their players, achieve a lot more in a short space of time. They know what to do. They, at Stellenbosch University, they, in and around the people that do the best in the game, whether it be rugby, athletics, whatever, they meet, they interlink, they make connections, and a lot of their players do so well because already they have a little bit of a better insight of what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and if
So you appreciate that part
yes,
of it built into the sport, that it's
Yes.
not far removed. We do it right here. There's no stigma.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing. It's a safe space. Here we go. Does it not take away from, I guess, the individual? We talk about loony bin seeing a psychiatrist or a psychologist, for example, and that there's still a lot of stigma around it. I think mental health only in recent years has become a poster. Simone Biles saying, I'm not okay mentally, and the world accepting that the top athlete is saying this, I think only nowadays we're talking about it. Everywhere else you had to be strong about it,
How many players have we seen, or how many players have the mental problem that haven't come out and said it? There must be, let's say there's 10 players in a team.
I think it's even more.
I'm saying just 10 players in a specific team that are playing. And out of that 10, there's 4 that mentally are not, but they're performing at the highest level because that's all they know. That's what they've been fed. Whether it's right, yes, it's not right, but I don't think there's a platform where we dive into those type of things. And that's also a space that I'm trying to go into, where I have mentorship camps where, we talk about not the football side, because if you look at rugby, how rugby's been run, it's done from high school or from primary school, and you get earmarked way earlier, and they earmark you to become, make an example, Brian Abena. He was at Kaizer, and obviously he was a big shot then and becomes a Springbok international, but everything was in place for him to become that person, with all the mechanisms for him to be the person that he is. And he goes on to live up to expectation and goes beyond that. Football, totally different.
You need those tools.
You definitely need those tools. And that's where I'm trying to plead to people, sponsors and people that are out there that want to see the game go in the direction of, because if we can take a leaf out of football, just 5% leave out of rugby players, how they then go on to do it. Because football in South Africa, you don't do it at high school anymore. It becomes a breadwinners type of thing, because as a youngster, you're out there and you're seeing, I'm making an example, you see Tihang Mabalani, but you don't know what Tihang has been through. All you see is the glitz and the glamour. But with the rugby, you see the glitz and the glamour, but you still need to go to school. You still need to go to varsity, and they earmark you. They take you through this is what you can be. This is what we want you to be, and this is how you're going to get there. Football, it's
Play.
alpha and omega.
Yeah.
This is a meal for your family. This is the breadwinners type of thing.
Where did you enjoy your stint the most? You started at Cosmos, you went to SuperSport, Chiefs, SuperSport. Then obviously Stellies, where I think you saw the new face of football and the era it's moving into, and then rounding everything off at Skukuna United.
That's a tough one, because the platform was afforded by all the other teams, like the North Sundowns. They gave me the opportunity to go on and to do. Bedford View gave me a stint. Cosmos gave me a look into the professional side of things, where I'm really appreciative of the Sono family, because they brought me in, they took me in as their own. I think a step in the door for me was actually the biggest thing, because if you can't get your foot into the door, it's tough, and I enjoyed the bit of fame that I got when I moved from Cosmos to SuperSport, but it was a bit of a rough one, because there was a bit of dispute where I had a contract, my contract was over, I had to wait out.
With Cosmos to SuperSport.
Yeah.
There seems to be that quite quite a bit. I think Terminator told me about his as well. There was a court case with him.
Yeah.
The contract had lapsed, however, he was going to Pirates, but anyway, it ended up in court. Did you end up in court?
PSL DC, and obviously there was no contract in place that had obviously held me down or tied me down at Jomo Cosmos, and then I was free to go, but it took a while, and credit must go to Farouk Khan. He then kept me ticking over at Stars of Africa, which I'm really appreciative of, that 3-4 months that I spent there. And that's why I learned that football is not the robust game that we knew at Cosmos, because the DNA of Cosmos was just go and get it. It doesn't matter how you do it, you go and get it, get the win, get whatever. Then I moved on to Stars of Africa, because you know that Farouk Khan is a human being that knows the development football, and he saw a gap where I needed to develop in some way or some form. I used the 3 months into develop, because I didn't have development within me. I had raw, robust, and he literally unpacked it for me. 3 months, and I learned a lot, and I'm a person that when I go into something, I want to go and get the learnings. I like being the rough one, in terms of I know nothing, but I'm going in a blank canvas and I'm going to paint whatever I want to paint, and I'm going to come out there being maybe my own Picasso. I don't need to be the world's Picasso, but I need to be my own Picasso, and then what I present to the people, that's what the DNA that I have. Yeah.
Nice. From SuperSport to Chiefs, I mean, you said you enjoyed a little bit of the fame, but I think it's fame on like steroids when you enter Nature Arena.
Look, the rude awakening of me moving to SuperSport was really good and nice, because Gavin came up with a saying that he can't tame a tame horse, but he can tame a wild horse. And he was referring to me. I was a bit wild and erratic. That's where I got to, tone down a lot of things. And fortunately, I had the little bit of learnings at Stars of Africa.
But the wild comes in where?
I think the wild comes in from the DNA from Cosmos. If you're a defender, we were known to be robust, because the identity, either you fit in or you...
Ship in, ship out.
Yeah. And we needed to fit in, and I think we fit in a bit too much. We were too eager, where you as a footballer, you needed to take it into your stride and think about what you're doing, because I would play with my heart on a sleeve and I'd give 200%, where it was a bit too much and I did too much. Hence, I got the red cards in my career. There's a point where I got like 4 or 5 red cards in a season. And
is that the most in a season for a player?
No, you can get more.
You can get more, but I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think of...
I think I was there and about 3 probably. I'm just exaggerating when I say 5. But it comes with a lot of repercussions. You miss a lot of games. If you get 3 consecutive red cards, you then miss out on like 8, 9 games or whatever.
Is the wild only in the playing, or is the wild a reason of what else is going on?
Yeah. It's the what else is going on also.
What else was going on?
There was a
because
lot.
The Morgan that sits in front of me is very nicely put together. Like I said, you're in Terminator, come across as very head down, keep the work going. But then there's the wild side of Morgan. There's the apagat, kebere, there's the red cards, there's the anger, Is it an anger that you had towards the sport? Because they say, football is both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
And yes, this is your bread and butter, but there is just so much else, that I guess it's spilled over.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think when you get to an age of where you start playing regularly and your demands are more, your responsibilities are more, now you in a phase where you want to get your own form of transport and you're not getting through to your employers saying, listen, guys, I need X, Y, Z. I'm not coming to you being arrogant and saying, I want. But this is a necessity. I need a car, a necessity to get to training and back. I need to stay in my own place because I'm of the age now where I can build my own sort of, I don't know how to put it, but you can build
independence,
your own legacy and your own independence, So then it becomes frustrating because you're not getting through, and they only do it when they feel it's.
Is this at the transition where you feel you had your foundation was, I guess, Cosmos, Stars of Africa, and SuperSport?
Also, sorry, you also in and around the likes of Terminators. They obviously are much older than us, and the influences. You now need to be doing your own thing. You need to stay in your own place. That's the responsibility of saying, I want to pay my own mortgage. And the influence comes from them, and it's a good influence.
Is it influence or is it pressure? Because I'm trying to go back to your grounding. Would you saying the lash out is mostly at Chiefs when you get there, where you are Morgan Gould, you are the footballer, you are the tough tackling defender. I'm sure the girls are looking, Is it to really keep up with the Joneses that you're spilling over, or is it something else? Or is it really just the pressure to...
It boils down to how you started the game and how you got introduced into the game and how you then unpack those things, and you go into a Cosmos team where a lot of things happen around you, and defenders were not touted to be earning the highest salaries, and that was the stance that they took, that you guys you'll get what's due to you, and if it was fair, if it wasn't fair, you'd obviously see the guys around you and see changes happening, and obviously changes come with a financial gain, and you get frustrated because you can't do you're hanging out with friends and you can't come out, and they'll tell you directly that, hey, my guy, if you don't have XYZ, don't come out, And it's a bit of a bittersweet one, but that's also where the frustration comes from. And then you literally, like with me, I keep it in, I keep it calm, but then obviously somehow it lashes out and later in life.
I guess not your proudest moments, right? The red cards, the lashing out, the bubbling over of everything in the back coming to the fore.
Yeah, well, it's not my proudest moments, but I lived it. I went through it, and I learned from it, and I want a lot of people to learn from what I've been through. So hence me trying to set up the mentorship programs where I'm not talking just to footballers. I'm talking to people in general, youth in general, and people that are willing to listen and say, listen, I've got this in front of me. I've got this frustration. How do we unpack it? We get people that are obviously knowledgeable in the space of how you unpack mental health, how do you work in a team? How do you then, not talent scouting, but where you unpack what the world has to offer? Some sort of, I don't know what the right word is. It's just
like a mental mentorship, nurturing.
Nurturing, yeah. You get the different career paths that you can go into, and not just focus on football, because football is vast. It's huge. There's photography, there's psychology.
You feel very passionate about this, hey?
Yeah, I do. I think I just need to get to the right people so I can unpack it, and they can obviously assist me in the way that they assist me to put it together, because we're going to lose a lot of footballers. And I can tell you now, there's a lot of footballers that are going to be lost to the game because of how things are going, and they don't have people that are putting their arms around. And I've reached out to a couple of footballers that are currently playing, and I said to them, listen, I'm doing this for you. I'm not doing it for anybody else. I don't want the financial gain. I want to see someone else do better than me and not do the things that I did, lashing out and letting your family suffer.
Yeah, I guess what you've been through, which you said isn't your proudest moments, but you're saying, I've lived it.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And now I guess what that affords you are your glasses, which you don't have on. But I mean, bear with me. It's almost as if you see through a different lens now.
You do.
Where you can identify the you that you weren't so proud of in the next footballer.
Yeah.
Where you now want to offer them the mechanisms, the tools, the bridge to the other side, as I spoke about, so that it's never too late or it doesn't spill over. And maybe that's your gift. Maybe that's the gift that football gives you back. You know, despite it all, that you get to see the game through the MG lens, you know?
Yeah. Well, definitely. I think it goes without saying. I've lived a bit of a footballer's life, and I know how that lens looks out from this side. But the person that I'm giving the insight to might not have been close, or he's not even going to encounter that, but I can give him the mechanisms to say
that he doesn't have to.
You don't have to go that route.
Man.
You don't have to.
I like that.
Because a lot of footballers,
I get it.
A lot of footballers, what we tend to, and I'm being honest, it's either if you're not an alcohol person, you tend to alcohol. If you're a party person, you tend to the parties, and those are not the places you want to find yourself into, because it attracts the wrong things. You go to the parties, there's always the women around, and there's alcohol, and there's the wrong things.
There's a lot.
There's a lot that can go wrong in one night. You're just saying, it's just one night. I'm going out with a couple of friends.
But tell me about that life, because I'm coming back as a footballer in my next life, right? Because you guys, it just looks glamorous, you know? You hop on a plane, you're in a hotel, your food is made for you, your visas are done. Like, you just do nothing. All you need to do is show up and play football every day. I think you guys are spoiled, you know?
How much pressure does it go with?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. From where I look, and you look at it, you know, through rose-tinted glasses, for example, you're like, oh my gosh, the life, you know?
Yeah.
Reverse, is it?
It's not as glamorous as it seems, but the pressure that it comes with, there's a lot at stake riding on your shoulders, your head, because you need to perform. You need to be a people's person. You need to know how to live up to the brand's expectation. You need to live up to your expectation. You need to be responsible for your family. You need to be responsible for your community. At large, you need to be bearing the flag of South Africa. And those are the type of things that we don't look into, but it's a lot. It's truly so much that we deal with on a day-to-day, or what the guys deal with right now. Earlier on, we were speaking about someone so popular that he doesn't see the need to have private security, but in retrospect, you need it, because anything can go wrong, and anything at any time can happen, because we live in a world where people take chances, and people want to be known for, obviously, the wrong reasons, firstly. Secondly, it's probably going to be a prank to him, and it's going to be known in the books of, I did this to XYZ, but we can avoid those things. So there's a lot that goes on.
So don't come back as a footballer in my next life.
Don't. You're better
Don't
off
do
where
it.
you are.
Don't do it.
Yeah, you're better off where you are. Being a journal queen that you are, that just stay there. I think the best for you is staying there.
Okay, thanks. I'll take your word for it. Where did you play your best football? Where were you the happiest?
That's a tough one.
Where you hit the field and you were just like, this is it. Like, this is my happy space. I am enjoying what I do.
I think when I'm at home.
Really?
Yeah. That's my happy space, man. But if you really want me to pick a team, I'd say the first stint at SuperSport, because that's the one that I really put myself on the map and saying, from the robust person that you know, I've become a tame horse, and a tame horse that goes on to represent obviously the national team, and gets to be spoken about week in, week out, that this tame, well, the wild horse becomes a tame horse and produces XY results. Not taking anything away from my teammates, because I couldn't have done it without them. It just gave me another platform to put myself on another pedestal that I don't like putting myself on a pedestal.
I know, I see so.
We go on to do great things as a team. The culture there, we created a culture, because if you look before, when I got there, they had a brilliant team with Pitso, Dekos, the Katahompelas, the Sponiso Kakas, Ranti, the Richard, I just his name, just the David Kanameyers. They had a awesome team. However, they didn't reach the heights that they wanted to reach. So we come onto a team that already has a bit of a culture, but then we take it to the next level to say, you know what, they paved the way for us. We can take it to the next level and start winning leagues. Credit must go to Pitso, because he put a sort of a foundation together for Gavin to take over and go forth with it. And those two coaches need to actually they credited themselves, and we need to credit them, because without Pitso, Gavin wouldn't have achieved what he achieved with Gavin and the late Thomas Marichache, because it's a ripple effect, because they laid the foundation. Here comes Gavin, and the foundation is laid. He can now put the first layer of whatever he wants to do, and then he just goes on and does that.
Do you think the same is said for Sundowns now?
Yeah, most definitely. You can't take anything away from Pitso, then Rulani, then whoever else comes after the Nieskins, even before Pitso. The people that came there, they laid a foundation. Yes, the ship was wobbling. Number 15, Pitso does what he does best. He studies the game. He sleepless nights, and he now affects, in a way, Rulani. Rulani does exactly the same way. Gives away for Mangoba. Mangoba now does his best. Gives away for Cardoso. Cardoso obviously is going to make way for someone else to come in and also, either steer the ship in a direction that obviously the team like Sundowns. Taking back to Chiefs, VV came in. He laid a foundation for Stuart. Stuart then does amazing job where he recreates the culture of Chiefs, of the winning ways, and that's obviously how we win the leagues and the cups.
Correct, yeah.
So everybody has a bit to play. And
I think that was the last time Chiefs won a league. It was under Baxter.
Yeah, I know. That's what happened. And, you must always have a time for rebuilding, because if you look at an onion, you don't get the onion at the rawest forms, but you get the layers and layers. You need to take off the layers for you to get to the onion, and that's the part that makes you cry. I think Chiefs are being in a crying phase. The day they get it right, they'll say, actually,
it was worth the cry.
It was worth the cry, because you need to peel the onion slowly but surely, and for you to get to the more loved spots.
Do you think that if the horse was tamed before, that you would not have been sidelined by injuries?
No, I don't.
Why?
It was meant to happen.
Because that's the last thing a footballer wants. An injury and to be sidelined.
The glory. And how do you get to the glory? If you don't go through pain, you're not going to go to the glory days.
But it's a different type of pain. It's a pain that, Lord forbid, it ends your career. Like a Dan Malisela, for example. Injuries are dangerous. Injuries are not what you want. So when you say it had to happen?
It had to happen.
What happened in those moments for you? Because I guess it's another mental space that you enter. It's another challenge you need to overcome.
Look, sports has become very scientific, and they now into science where they can tell that, okay, Romy is at a red flag where we need to tone down the hours that Romy is doing, because it's affecting her eyes and it's affecting her typing skills, or the way you do journalism. You are fatiguing now. You're not giving the best of the best. And they toned down that. Before it was just you go and you go and you go non-stop until you crack. And when you crack,
We fix you.
we fix you. And then when you fix you, you need to go to rehab. You need to start finding the love for it again. And then you
Go again.
go again, you know. So now there's a bit of, okay, toe down here, do this, eat better, because nutrition is a huge part of what the sport is. And as I say, rugby knows how to do it. Footballers, we're getting there. The people like the Rolanis, the Pizzos, the Stewarts that install these type of things, the Gavin Hans of this world, and all the new coaches now know that nutrition is a huge part scientifically. It's also been proven to say you can actually speed up your process when you are injured or when you are on a mending bed, how you live your life, how your just everything around you is, and even mentally, the mental side of the game also. So
Mental.
yeah, I've been through a lot actually.
What happened with your injuries, though? There was the ACL, and
I had no ligaments left in my knee. I think the only thing that was keeping my leg together was the muscles and the obviously the skin, which that's where I got the rude awakening that, you know, you don't have to always give 200% because 200% can get you into your places that you a spot of bother, and that was a spot of bother. And if I look back to that injury, I would say it was a bit of a reckless-ish type of thing because it was miscalculated, and obviously there's an opponent coming, and that opponent happened to be Granville Scott, and you know he's a youngster that comes into the game. There's so much riding on him, and I go into the tackle, and there my leg goes.
you can see it in your mind.
Yeah.
Like, does it play out?
I replay it all the time. And then fortunately, I then go and play with him at Stellenbosch. Become the senior players in the team, you know. And I'm not a one to hold grudges. I've probably
Did you
hurt a
guys
couple of players.
debrief that
No,
moment?
I didn't even want to dive into it because to him it was just a game. It happened. To me, could have been a life-changing, but if I had put all that anger and all that thing, I wouldn't have come back the way I came back.
Because I think of Parker's injury, the most recent one that he had as well, you know, where I always wonder that this could possibly be it and no more, right, in injuries, just the way it is.
Yeah.
That like a Dan Malistela and a Steve Sekano, for example, haven't spoken since that moment because Dan was supposed to go overseas. And they'll probably be in the same place and they will not say a word. So I often wonder if other footballers take moments like that where there is a bit of a grudge because you could be sidelined due to the other players, in that moment.
I think
So I always wonder, if you do go back and be like, yo, dude, you know, like you and Granville had the opportunity to, but you didn't feel the need?
I didn't feel the need. I think I actually cracked the joke. I was like, you did X, Y, Z. But for me, I had dealt with it a long time ago because I looked at it in my point of view where I probably did something to someone that he didn't speak about it. And I probably stopped his career, or that was a tackle that the guy came into and was like, I'm never ever playing football again. Whether it was a career-threatening injury, but it's something that obviously impacted someone in a bad way. So who am I? I think I had to go through it, and I had to learn from that situation that it could happen to anybody. And the mental strength that I have and that I needed to build is I'm going to go up and get it and do it again. I had to do it and show the kids or whoever was around me that, you know what, I need to just go again and be a role model, bad or ugly.
I mean, I've enjoyed our chat. We didn't chat on half of what I wanted to, but I think really the theme of today happens to be just mental dexterity in sport, you know, and what it is that you get to be able to see. That footballers, I think, themselves haven't even identified in themselves yet. In closing, though, Morgan, overseas, you had the opportunity, and I feel so many players in South Africa have that opportunity. But it's about being so uncomfortable in the unknown that everybody comes back to the sun. forgetting maybe all the opportunities that lie beyond the borders of, I guess, South Africa and our Braaivleis and our whatever it is, all the home comforts.
Yeah, look, I had a bit of an incident when I got the opportunity to go to Lille in France for a trial stint. That's when, funny enough, that's what I was introduced into lamb shank. I didn't know what lamb shank was.
Yum.
When you're in France, they speak French, and I was like, hey, just give me meat.
Yeah.
And that's what they afforded me. They gave me a lamb shank, and
it went down.
Wrong.
Oh, it didn't go down?
It went horribly wrong. You're away from home, and
but they have the best food in France.
Yeah, but I wasn't ready for it. I was just like, if you're from the township and you normally, it's either chicken or beef.
I guess your palate is used to something particular.
My palate was not used to a lamb shank because, it's tender. It falls off the bone, and it's all...
Oh, you're making me hungry, yeah.
Juicy, and I wasn't ready for that. And it just went south. And also just the environment, the culture, because no one walked me or spoke me through it. There's like culture shock, language barrier. I knew the language barrier is going to be a problem, and the rest. I went through that trial just doing me. And I had the opportunity of meeting Eric Abidal and a lot of the guys, Jean Macoun, where I was later in life. I was like, actually, those guys, I had a bit of a stint there where I could play alongside them. But look, now they become big ballers in the world of football. And those are the opportunities that were afforded to me. I also got a stint at Crystal Palace, where Kaizer was at Crystal Palace, and they invited me. I think it was also after a game that I played against. We played our first win against Egypt 1-0. Pizzo was the coach, and they inquired about me, and they wanted to know. And I was obviously still playing at SuperSport, and I asked SuperSport, listen, afford me the opportunity to go and do this, which they did. And obviously, I was wanted. However, the price wasn't right because I think I was overpriced at the time because I needed to, obviously, it's in England, you need to, the culture, obviously, how they do their things.
It's
adapting,
different. Yeah.
Yes, adapting to the weather. Those type of things came into fruition. And, in England, they take their game seriously and they look into the smaller details, where we don't look into the smaller details. We just sign a player and that's it. Whether they adapt, we signed him, we want him, he needs to
adapt or die.
Yeah, they do the culture, the weather, and obviously they found someone in their radar in England where he came at a better price. He didn't need to adapt. He hit the ground running because obviously he was from England and he was English player. So for me, that was also just a mood dampener. But I took that into my stride. I was like, I definitely want to come back and do it again if I get an opportunity.
MG, how is your brand doing?
Yeah, it's a bit of a wishy-washy one because I'm now just doing it for my own and friends and people that really want the brand. I'm not really going deep into it because it's not easy. You take more out of your pocket than people think you're taking out of your pocket because you need to. First, I entrusted a couple of people, and then they obviously did what they did, and monies were squandered here, there, and then I said, you know what? Let me not just trust anybody and everybody. I'm waiting for my boys to the bug must bite them to want to just take over the brand and them wear it first, and I'm always wearing it. And yeah, I like to do collabos now because, e.g. with the mentorship program where I as a goodie bag, I want to give kids and say, this is what I could do. You can do better, and look into the lines of you don't need to be a fundi, but you can be a creative of some sort. You need to just think outside of the box.
I love it. Morgan, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. I wish you all the best on your endeavors. And I do think that you're onto something, right? Through your lens that you see football in, you're onto something. And I think it's something that is so needed in our football today, so that, years on, we see the younger generation coming in having definitely learned, by the mistakes that the legends have made, and they're able to tell those stories, in the hope that it changes the trajectory or the direction in which a new footballer is going on. And I think that's your calling. I think that's your gift, if I can leave you with the gift.
Yeah.
I think that's the gift that football has given you, post-football, in your retirement, for you to conquer the world.
Yeah, definitely. I'd first like to conquer where I can directly have an input onto, then obviously the world later. Because the African child is always disadvantaged in a way, because everything that we want is in Europe or in Asia or whatever, So we need to find our ways to get that side, and first start at home. I mean, if you can impact within your community, and then obviously out of your community you get bigger and better, and then you can obviously touch the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and what a great chat.
Thanks for honoring it. And that's how we wrap it all up here. Our guest today, Morgan Gould, at over 20 years in footballing history. He has to his name, however, trying to direct football in a different direction, so that tomorrow's footballers are left enriched, and perhaps they don't make the same mistakes he made. And that is a gift he now wants to give football.
Only Sport Africa.